Wow, Ori. So you really, truly, and just genuinely wasted my time. Alright then, I'll take it. Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones, Lord of 4765, Midnight Gem Lord, Argoon, and Sean. Now, before I'm this breakdown / discussion on chapter 379 of My Hero Academia, please don't forget to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below in support for as low as $1 a month. You exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the review. What's up, guys? Ugly Pencil here, and here we are to do a review of chapter 379 of My Hero Academia, which is known as Hopes. And, you know, as always with current My Hero Academia, I feel mixed. Because on one hand, akin to the previous chapters, this is one of my favorite chapters of My Hero Academia. But on the other hand, I'm banging my head against the wall and genuinely wondering why Horikoshi does some things that he does. But, you know, it'd be like that when it be like that. So let's not waste any more time. Let's hop right into it. So we open up and we do get to see that we are flashing back to a little bit ago, not necessarily too long ago, maybe at most realistically like 30 minutes, if that. We're back at the Central Hospital after Kurogiri's revival. And we see the doctors that somehow managed to survive the initial onslaught of Monster Spinner doing their best to try and collect everybody, all the injured, all the people who need help, showing that even in the face of despair, they still are helping everybody, friend or foe, it doesn't matter. And you know, once again, underlying themes of heroism, anyone can be a hero. I like it. Definitely not going to hear me complaining about any subtle theory. I was about to say subtle theorizing. Any subtle theming. I like it, I'll take it. And we see that it's not one person who's trying to help out all the people, it's many people. And one of these people is a doctor who's built just like Mario, same hat and mustache and all. And he's like, "Please wait, you shouldn't be moving. If your wounds reopen, you could die." Shut up. Tell me the enemy's position. And Lady Nagant is up in that. Admittedly, I do think, I always feel like last chapter ended off with a really good cliffhanger. Don't get me wrong. Seeing Nagant right at the end, wonderful, beautiful, amazing. But I think this whole like showing and then flashing back to how we got here is almost like a waste of time. Like anything, all that this chapter says in its first couple of pages could, well, not even could, was implied by the end of the last chapter by her showing up. But, you know, I'll take anything to get more Nagant. She is one of 2 female characters that I like in My Hero Academia, and that's actually no, that's a lie. I do like multiple female characters in My Hero Academia. I just want better for them, but I know that's never gonna happen, especially not at this rate. But regardless, we do see Nagant is asking for the enemy's position, but the doctor isn't lying. She was legitimately detonated, and the fact that she's up and moving relatively quickly, like what? It's been at most a couple days, maybe a week or so since the Vigilante arc, realistically in real time. Yeah, she's not doing too hot, and thus her going out there, especially with her bandaged arms, isn't going to do very good, because she's going to be exposing wounds by attempting to use her quirk and stuff like that. And we see that Dr. Mario doesn't necessarily care that she's trying to do things to help. He actually cares that she's a prisoner and should not be allowed to leave. And, like, dog, I get it. I completely understand, but what damage is she going to do? Like, legitimately, from your point of view, what damage do you think she can really get out? And if she could do damage, how are you, Dr. Mario? It literally is Dr. Mario, now that I think about it. But how are you, Dr. Mario, going to stop her? If she just turned around, hit you with the Splagooter, the Splagaki, and the Ratataki, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. Like, I don't know. And it is interesting to see how Midoriya's words truly reached her, right? Because the main reason she's up and moving, even as a prisoner, even in great harm, is that she's saying, Izuku Midoriya he's relying on me. And we flash back to that one panel of Midoriya saying, "Please fight alongside us." And she repeats, "Fight alongside us. That's what he asked me." And I can definitely respect it. I can understand. This is technically the perfect time for her to really get engaged, because up until the hospital was attacked, she didn't really know. what was going on, as the outside world was the outside world and she was in the midst of recovery. So her immediately trying to help in the way she can is good, and it plays back into her original heroic nature. Nice. Once again, I do think this is a bit redundant and a bit like page wasty, but considering what the chapter ends on, and I know what Hori wanted to end the chapter on, in retrospect, I can understand why he kind of fluffs out the beginning of the chapter like this. And it has some nice things in it. Once again, the declaration of stuff like this is all nice. It's good to remind people, in case they forgot what Midoriya said to Nagant and stuff like that. Do I think it is a bit whack that she literally got detonated from the inside out and after a week is still able to move and do things? Yeah, but it's a world of superheroes, a world of superhumans, and I'm still trying to be softer on My Hero Academia as a whole, so I'm not going to be like, I'm just going to be like, it's an issue, but you gotta have a plot, so we're going to keep plotting. And we see that Lockrock actually shows up. He's there and he's like, let her go, I'll take responsibility. Hold on. Let her go, I'll take responsibility for her. But, sir, we cannot let a prisoner... This info outlines the state of the battle, UA's location, the enemy's position, etc. How? I have it. Don't ask questions. Lady Nagant, the battle has reached a point where we're relying on Izuku Midoriya. Any help would be appreciated. Once again, I'm very, like... It's always just little things, right? Like, even in life, I will say, big things don't necessarily faze me for some reason, but it's always little things, little narrative beats. Like, why does Lockrock have that? And how does it do all that? I don't know. I get it, we're in like a super technically advanced future and stuff like that in My Hero Academia world, except we're not, kind of. Like, I still see characters with flip phones occasionally, but regardless of that, it's just strange. It's like the all for one chip thing in Shigaraki's hand. Like, really, that's how we're doing it. I don't know. It feels off, but we'll let it work. We'll let it rock. And I guess this thing is within like 2 miles, or like, what was her max range? I forget. I believe I'm not gonna go back. It doesn't necessarily matter. I also was thinking like, wait a minute, isn't her max range like 2 kilometers or something? Like, how far away is UA that she can actually aim and fire from the hospital? I'm assuming she doesn't go that far. She still may have that flying quirk, so maybe she flew a little bit to get closer, and if so, that's cool too. I need to double check the end of the last chapter or just see what they do here. And with that being the case, it is cool to see Rocklock, once again, a character who is like, I'd say C or D tier in terms of relevance. Like, you have obviously your A tier importance, main characters, / pseudoragonist, female lead, stuff like that. B tiers, like major side characters like Endeavor. I put all the villains in D tier. Any villain that's not really like Shigaraki or All for One, D tier. Even then, or not D tier, B tier, around there. C tier is like the class 1A and stuff like that. And then Rocklock's pretty much D tier. But it's cool to see. Horikoshi has a world full of massive amounts of characters. And it's always nice to see some of them show up. Do you expect much from him? No, once again, this is Horikoshi. Like, either he doesn't write his characters, or he writes them so amazingly that they're literally the best thing in New Gen, aka Endeavor. So, like, it's really a 50-50, but if you're not Endeavor, or Bakugo, or really All Might, you ain't getting much writing. However, we do get to see that that's not the main focal point here. We can see that Rocklock essentially gave Nagant, not necessarily an ultimatum, that's a bit too harsh of a word, but she didn't actually get an ultimatum, she got a request. If you can act with him in mind, I'll put my faith in you. So please, do what you can. And we see out in the pouring rain, seemingly on the top of this hospital, Nagant has transformed her arm once again. And like, she's literally, just by sitting there, she's bursting with like, the life. Like, I was about to say the word. See, the thing is, I'm not sure what words I can and can't say, because I saw YouTube policies got updated. I need to sit down and actually read those and just add a whole new bunch of words to my ban list. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Nagant is bursting with life, and even her arm is still wrapped up in bandages. They're just now distorted, and firing off that one shot before is still bad. Like, it's taking a toll on her. And that's something that I do like about this quirk. Her quirk, Rifle, I like that it has recoil that is mainly shown and advertised when she's in a much weakened state. Like, presumably she trained previously to manage the recoil, so it wasn't too bad for her. But now that she's in this extremely damaged state, it's cool to see her body react so negatively, because obviously, I'm not sure how her quirk works fundamentally, but it should be very, very explosive and very, very hard on the body. So it's good to see that it has negative repercussions in a state like this. And we see that Nagant is still focused in. She's still locked in. She's like, I have one shot left. One shot is still a shot. Gray skies, drowning in darkness. I begun to live and see the light. You and my successor reminded me. Once again, I know I keep cutting back. And I think they're like, I'd say two mainly. I think it's Nagant and Stars and Stripes. Two, well, obviously Uraraka too. So three main female characters in My Hero Academia that I think I'm going to sit down and just go over like wasted potential and why I think they like just missed out on plots because of Horikoshi's writing style. Nagant is one of them. Like the fact that she didn't know Hawks. The fact that they are successor and predecessor simply in like they both worked for the Hero Organization or Association as like subterfuge people. I don't know. I feel like it's such a lesser connection. I wish Nagant was there. Even if you had to retroactively work it in, which you would have had to do, I think it would have worked better than just having them be loosely connected. Because it would make the drive and the connection between the two all the more important. They aren't just people who were like in the same line of work. One trained the other. But, you know, another story for another time. We do get to see that Midoriya is the reason that she sees the light again. She is reminded of a time when she felt that shining view, had a reason to live, was the person who wanted to guide people and save people as a hero. And Nagant declares as the rain falls around her, you must make them reach Izuku Midoriya, Lady Nagant. And that's nice. You know, once again, I like Nagant as a character a whole lot. Do I think she got done dirty? Yeah, but it's My Hero Academia. A lot of characters get done dirty. But we do get to see that she does fire off this last twisted hair shot, and it reaches and sharply pierces straight through Shigaraki. Like he's in the midst of regrowing his hand, bada bing, bada boom, another shot fires off. And that man is mad. He is fuming. He is not cheesing right now. He is screaming. And admittedly, I'd be screaming too if I just got my hand shot off. Like, don't get me wrong. I would not be having a calm reaction even if I could regrow my hand. But with that being the case, it's actually kind of interesting. Like, I get it. It was implied that Nagant's bullets could do damage to Midoriya, but it's kind of crazy that Nagant's bullets, when she's in a heavily fatigued state and who knows how far away, is like able to do extreme damage to Shigaraki, or at least like tearing off his hand. We gotta remember Shigaraki's prime All Might level. Like that's a crazy feat. Or maybe he's not prime All Might level yet because he's ripping out of his new body. He's going through that metamorphosis thing. I'm not sure, but just going off that, still, regardless of whether or not, it is still very impressive. And we do get to see that Midoriya is still clutching at his lungs. And admittedly, bro literally can't breathe right now, so I can't blame him for clutching at his lungs. Though, with that being the case, it is cool to see that he has a look of hope. Like, you can see as the rain falls, he has, like, sweat and a tear rising up with a tight grin. And he goes to stand. But before we can get to see the aftermath of Midoriya standing up, we cut into the mind, the Vestige world. And we get to one of my biggest things that has me happy, yet also disappointed in the entire All For One plotline, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And one thing I do want to point out, and I really, really like here, I'm not sure if this is a consistent in the Vestige world or we've seen it before. I don't remember seeing it before, but of course it's been a while since I read those chapters. I like how the panels are not just the regular black flashback panels, nor the regular white modern day panels. They're this chaotic mix. There's these dark, almost like, not chalk, it's not like ash drawing lines that are guiding the panels here. I like that a lot. It's a really interesting detail, and it shows the conflict and chaos within this world. And we see that All For One is obviously not all too happy about the current situation and having his hand blown off. Seemingly enough, it even did damage to him in the real world, or not in the real world, in the Vestige world. Actually, no, he does still have his hand there. There's just a spurt of darkness behind him. And we see he goes on to say a couple things, and now allow me to think of how I want to do this All For One voice, because I don't think I've actually sat down and voiced him. You useless piece of trash. Don't you see? You're still... Wait, what? Do you still think you're the face of justice? As you slaughter your comrades and beat the wounded, you're just an aimless weakling. Jeez, I don't know what it is, but like the deeper and deeper I try to make my voices, the more and more they hurt. And I think it's just because like I go further and further. Like, it's weirdly enough though, no, I guess I do go to the top of my register whenever I do a high-pitched voice. So it makes sense that like the back of my vocal area is like in absolute agony. However, we do get to see that Horikoshi is on his Nakaba Suzuki type beat, because he is just drawing nasty stuff. Because we see a whole bunch of fingers ripped straight out of All for One's gaping maw. And let me hit the Shigaraki voice real quick. This thing also damaged my vocal cords last time, but I'm gonna do it. Weren't you supposed to be the master of manipulation? Watching you is so embarrassing. Give up already. I know you brought me up as part of your grand scheme to torment All Might through his bond with Shimura. Then you moved forward with your scheme by taking control of my body and soul, and you reached the point where you absorbed my hatred in order to steal One for All. We merged together, and I became a part of you. But Sensei, I hated all of that, so I hid my origin deep inside the depths of my heart. And inside of me, my origin has taken back control without you ever even noticing. This is the path I took. And, you know, let me just, I'm going to play out the entire scene because I really like voice acting manga. I may just do whole, like, side videos on that. But, I tried to make the voice way too high register and simultaneously try to go low register in an instant. So that was rough. Kurogiri, I can't control this body. It's lagging. Transport me to the other me. Why is the other you not moving? Like, I know he was blocked off by Hawks, but still, I specifically remember in that chapter, he was just standing by and watching. If getting to you is so important, why is he not doing it? Where is the vibe? Why are we not executing this properly? However, we do get to see that Kurogiri is, he's not doing too hot. Like, one reason or another, he kind of glitching. He kind of glitching like bro would. And we see that he's going, shit, I will protect, no, who, where, shit, friend. I don't need One for All. Do you intend to control everything? I won't be your stinking pawn. Darn, I need water. Hold on. My heart is just like theirs. It won't be corrupted. Everything that exists in this world gave rise. You know what? I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause in the middle of this charade because I realize I'm about to get to the end of the chapter and not talk about what I want to talk about. Alright, so obviously this is Shigaraki coming out of All for One, as you do, and revealing that, yes, actually, all the time, All for One was just a false believer. He wasn't actually ever really in control of the body because of the hatred within Shigaraki's heart that he hid deep in the depths of his heart allowed him to take control while All for One wasn't even looking. Now, admittedly, as a Shigaraki stan, as the guy who, once again, you take me back like 100 or something chapters ago, and I was probably in the top 20, because I know there are at least 19 other people but me. Top 20 Shigaraki meat munchers. I was saying it for the heavens to hear. Like, yes, Shigaraki is the best new gen villain. Yes, he's one of the best new gen characters. Yes, he's my favorite thing to come out. Like, legitimately, we had sauce out the wazoo. Shigaraki was him, the Herner personified and given physical, tangible form. However, a big thing that ruined that, obviously, is the whole possession. I just didn't like it. I'm sorry. No one's been able to rationalize it to me. From the general consensus I've gotten from the community, from my own videos on other platforms, from asking on the comments to community posts, all the stuff like that, no one seemed to actually like it. Like, I've not heard a single person defending it. I've had parts of it that I liked, like All for One's whole like cat and mouse game and his constant like mental manipulation of Midoriya and all the other characters. Like, I like parts of that, but I thought, and a lot of other people seem to think, that the sacrifice was too great. Like, narratively, it was a mistake to do this. And I think it literally just ended up with narrative stalling. And notably, narrative stalling or character stalling. I prefer narrative because this is literally narrative. Where once again, this was like over 100 chapters ago before Shigaraki got possessed. The biggest reason I call it narrative stalling is because it felt like an artificial lengthener that did not need to be there. Take out all the All for One stuff and just have Shigaraki need to be in hiding to complete his body, and nothing in the narrative changes. You can still have All for One having planned things. You can still have All for One being in the background. You could still have Shigaraki free All for One for all I care. But having All for One take over as a pseudo main villain when we were doing so well with Shigaraki seems just like an absolute waste of my time. Or at least our time in general. Just as narrative pacing wise, it resulted in nothing. Nothing at all. We got Nagant out of it. And even then, you could like legitimately, this is gonna sound like a hard claim to make, but you could legit remove the entire Vigilante arc and you don't necessarily remove too much. Like, at least I think so. I'm working on a rewrite to the Vigilante arc because, Lord heavens mercy, I need it. The war arc rewrites are painful. But regardless, like, on a narrative level and on a character level, Midoriya has not changed. He has the exact same beliefs that he did right before Shigaraki got possessed. Has not changed. Shigaraki hasn't changed. He's the exact same person. In fact, that's what this entire chapter is telling us. That Shigaraki has not changed, and all he's been doing is biding his time so he can do the exact same thing he was planning to do before. Nothing has changed. All we have is a battlefield. And even then, at the end of this chapter, that battlefield gets entirely negated. So all of this filler could have been skipped. And notably, I'm a guy who loves Horikoshi's art. You will hear me praise it to the heavens and to the ends of the earth. I love Horikoshi's art, his writing. As long as it's Endeavor, I couldn't care less. But with that being the case, I get it. Without the filler that is All for One here, we do not have about 100 chapters of narrative. However, I'd say on a cost level, you gotta do something with that. You can't just have a nothing happen. You can't have all the characters in the exact same spot. The only difference is that they're a bit stronger. But considering how quickly, how like hyper speed Horikoshi was powering up the characters anyway, how juicy and jacked he was making them anyway, there was no need to. Legitimately no need. And a lot of this side stuff, like the second All for One body, essentially a moot plot point. Like, you just didn't need it. If you really want to keep it, you can, but you don't need it. The whole concept of Endeavor versus All for One, it's neat. It led to some of my favorite Endeavor writing moments. Not needed. You have Endeavor's villain right there in Dabi. Not needed at all. All for One is a secondary waste of space. Not just in the main body of Shigaraki, but also in the fight with Endeavor. We have Dabi. That's all we need. We literally just needed Shoto and Endeavor versus Dabi. That's all we needed. So this entire section just feels like a complete waste of time. And I think Horikoshi knows that, because you don't do it like this. Like, you would have character perspectives change. You would develop something narratively. You would not just give us another big old flat battlefield for our two big bags to duke it out like they did 100 chapters ago. With the exact same ideologies and mindsets that they had before, just with a few more gains. You wouldn't do it. But you did. So I think, and notably, I'm not sure how much of this is like backlash for the All for One twist, because like, trust me, I may be loud and vocal about it, but there was definitely a lot of flack going towards Horikoshi for doing that. At least if my own limited perspective. Notably, I'm not omniscient, so I do not know. But considering a lot of people really like Shigaraki and people could not care less for All for One, a lot of people weren't happy that Shigaraki was suddenly ousted. So bringing him back may be fan backlash, or it may be for the fact that Hori just planned it this way because he wanted to fill out the story a bit more. And I get it, gotta make your bread, gotta make your stacks. But Hori, really, dog? Really, there was no other way you could do it? Just play the cat and mouse game on. Give us a longer Vigilante arc. Give the heroes whatever time they need. You don't need to do it. You could have done so many things alternative to this that would have not felt like a narrative waste of space. What does this do for Shigaraki's character? Nothing, other than show us he has the same hatred he always has, which was established since like his introduction. What does this do for Midoriya? Nothing. We'll get to the end of the chapter and I'll talk about how Midoriya just hasn't changed, and how, heck, we already got to a point of it. As Lockrock says, we've gotten to the point where we're relying on Izuku Midoriya. Knows who he says there. He's relying on Izuku Midoriya alone. Not Best Genius, not Mirko, not Bakubro, not any of them. Because they're all worthless. Because, you want to know why? Midoriya is the only one who could fight Shigaraki / All For One. And now just Shigaraki. So, what does that mean? The entire Vigilante arc was pointless, and that whole resolution that Deku and the Class 1A made to work together to save the world as a group of heroes is a moot point? Yeah, that's what that means. So the entire Vigilante arc was a waste, because nothing changed. And Shigaraki hasn't changed. So once again, you could literally just put a quick 10-chapter span between the end of the war arc and now, and nothing would happen. You could literally cut to the final battle right here, right now, and it would not change anything. At least narrative-wise, at least character-wise. The two main functioning parts of a story, its narrative and its characters, fundamentally unchanged. This was a huge waste of time, and I can smell the comments, and I want y'all to go on me. Like, if y'all think I'm just missing or tripping something, and I miss character development, I miss changes, I missed how Shigaraki is different, I missed how Midoriya is different, I missed how the situation is different outside of anything but their power levels. Anything but their power levels, folks. Give me something else other than their power levels that they've changed on, and that this doesn't just feel like a waste of time, and I'll believe you. Trust me, I don't like coming with negative opinions. Trust me, you can literally see it in other series I review weekly. I love coming with positivity, but I will be negative if I think it's deserving of negativity, and this is a big negative here, and just not a fan of it. However, let's cut right back. Let's move right in. And we see that, once again, Shigaraki is reduced to his most basic thing. My heart is just like theirs. It won't be corrupted. Everything that exists in this world gave rise to that house of mine. Tomura Shigaraki and Tenko Shimura only have one wish. To destroy everything that has to do with that house. That's it. That's all he wishes. Nothing, once again, it's just nothing has changed. And trust me, is the art gorgeous? Yes, put it in a museum. Like, put it right next to Araki's art. I haven't read JoJo's yet, so I know Araki's art is literally in, like, the Louvre or something like that, because it's that crazy. So maybe it's not Louvre level, and I still don't think Horikoshi beats Murata. Like, Murata is still cracked. But, in terms of art-wise, gorgeous. Top of the line, Horikoshi has been hitting like mad. However, if I'm looking at his character writing, if I'm looking at his story writing, I'm just disappointed. Right? And it always goes back to the fact that he made Endeavor. And to this day, after reading JJK, after reading Chainsaw Man, after reading Black Clover, after reading Fire Force, after reading Blue Lock, after reading all these new gen mangas, Endeavor's still my favorite character. Like by far. It is a long shot of a long shot. He is my favorite character. So, I know Hori can make peak. He can write peak. He can produce nothing but pure, literal, liquid gold. That sounds bad. It's like, but regardless, he can create pure platinum. Top of the line, best, amazing characters ever. And even with Shigaraki, he did that too. Shigaraki's journey into villainhood is fantastic. But I look at it. I look at what we have here. And I'm just disappointed. Because we could have done so much better. But regardless, we do get to see that Shigaraki declares that he has freedom with a smile on his face. And we see that as Midoriya leaps off, having tethered himself to Shigaraki, Shigaraki declares, that will be my only salvation, hero. And as Midoriya dives past Gento, who's currently holding up a whole meteor. Like, shoutouts to bro. Bro is insanely ripped. I know he's amped right now. But speaking of which, like, I hope that amp lasts, like, longer than it did before. Because, geez, and, like, this is the same guy who's, like, 5% Midoriya level, right? Like, you're telling, or 8%. I think, yeah, this should be, like, 8 or 10 or 20 or something percent. Yeah, he had, like, air blast. So I think it was at, like, 20. But still, like, you're telling me 20% of Midoriya could do this? Like, oh, Jewelers, I get he's amped. But the gains, what we do get to see, that as he dives past, Midoriya realizes that he's in the ultimate catch-22. And he thinks, now that Shigaraki has his quirks again, I can't fight him in the cage anymore. Midoriya-kun! But I won't let you do that. But I won't ignore the you that was crying. And now the two demigods, the two pinnacles of creation, stand down on the ground, even and across from each other, with battle ready to be born. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about this ending. One, the art is kind of mixed for me here. I'm not, like, someone pointed out that this could be a reference to one of Horikoshi's previous manga main characters. I forget what the manga was called, but it was a blue-haired main character of Horikoshi. Maybe that's it, but for some reason, Midoriya just looks off here. And this is my favorite Midoriya design, by the way, like, even more than Vigilante, because I think it looks a bit cleaner. But, I don't know, the way he drew it, like, it's like his neck, and he doesn't have a difference between his neck and his head. Like, hold on, let me zoom in a little bit. Maybe it'll get better. Yeah, I think it's the lack of definition. Like, if I look really close, I can tell where his, like, jawline is supposed to start and stuff like that. But, I don't know. It's very, like, I know why it's throwing me off so much. Horikoshi is a mangaka that typically dives in with, like, rounded features. And like, literally, just look at all of his character designs. A lot of them are rounded. Even the characters with, like, sharper or squarer jaws have usually softer, rounded edges. But for some reason, for this panel, it looks like Hori went with, like, a very angular shape for everything. Like, Midoriya's hair is very angular. His chin is very angular. He's just hard, sharp angles. And that's a little bit... It's not bad. It's not a bad art in any way, shape, or form. Once again, it is literally better than anything I could ever produce. I've said it once and I will say it. Well, no, I've said it more than once and I will say it more than 1,000 times. I never will reach the level of Horikoshi. I could go in the hyperbolic time chamber for 10,000 years and come out and not be even close to chapter 1 Horikoshi in terms of artistic swagger. His power, his ability, his perspicacity, whatever. Like, legitimately, he's different. But I don't know. This last art piece feels a little bit weird. But, like, it's still cool. Don't get me wrong. It's still very cool. However, removing the cool factor from it, hi, it's your local complainer again. Midoriya. Brody literally just explained that, you know, he's a menace. He's a threat. And he plans to destroy everything. Midoriya, I think you just gotta drop, bro. Like, I get it. A lot of people have been telling me, and so this is specifically more on the TikTok side of things, so hey, go check out TikTok if you want to hear more of my general random opinions and stuff like that. I post there daily too. But with that being the case, there's been this constant discussion, and just in the community in general, on what Midoriya means by saving. A lot of people, whenever I complain about the idea of Midoriya trying to save Shigaraki, either one, bring up Batman, who I also don't like, doesn't try to, like, you know, the Joker or anything like that. That's not my favorite part of his character. Trust me, I have issues with Batman too, but, you know, I don't review Batman comics weekly. I review My Hero Academia weekly, so you're going to get my opinions on that. But two, a lot of people have been saying that Midoriya knows he needs to end Shigaraki. He knows that's how he plans to save him, all that. No, he doesn't. He clearly doesn't. Like legitimately. Because he's still saying things like this. He's still saying, I won't ignore the you that was crying. He's still on that. A child, which once again we've seen is the hatred, the main reason that Shigaraki was even able to revive himself here. It was the hatred that stirred within his heart from that era. Midoriya is still risking this literal world-destroying, world-wiping, Mandalay hyped him up for a reason, this multi-continental, like, planetary threat right here, because he saw a crying child one time. One. Singular. Uno. Like, do I need to look up other versions of the word one to tell you how stupid this is? Like, and I get it. My Hero Academia is a series that is very much steeped in purity, morals. You do not steal, do not take a life, do not do anything immoral if you are a hero. However, where I will give a character like Batman credit, I will give a character like Superman credit, I will give a character like Spider-Man credit, is that they still struggle with it. It's something that is an active dilemma within their characters. Batman has multiple stories all about how he's thought about it. In the deepest depths of his heart, he's dreamed of it. Of slaughtering Joker. Every single one of his villains, for all the harm they do. Every time he puts them away, they just come back out and they keep hurting more and more people. And there's a constant debate and moral discussion and people going against him on the idea of keeping these characters alive. Like, what are you doing, Bruce? What are we doing? You're risking more and more lives. Just take this one to save the billions. And we have that moral conflict. We have these characters to go against them. Jason Todd is essentially that entire argument personified in the comics. Not in Arkham Knight, but in the comics. But the thing is, the thing that I don't like about Midoriya's here is that he doesn't have any competition. No one's telling him, except for Gran Torino, that you may just need to get him up out of here. No one goes against him. Even the vestiges in his head have agreed with him. And I just don't think that works. If you're gonna tell a story like this, you gotta have conflict. You gotta have morals. Or no, you have to have people who will clash against your morals with logical reasoning. Once again, Shigaraki's not a baby. Like, if a baby is angry, you can just take care of the one that was crying. You know, if they start crying, you can pick them up, you can cradle them a little bit. That's all nice and good. But Shigaraki is unstoppable. Midoriya is the last line of defense. If he falls, the world is done. We can see by how Shigaraki has said it, how he has acted, all of that. This is not a man like All For One, ironically enough. He's not trying to rule anything. He's trying to destroy everything. And on multiple occasions, he has admitted this directly and has tried to harm and has successfully harmed Midoriya and his friends and innocent civilians over and over and over again. Yet somehow, in spite of all of that, Midoriya still refuses to see anything other but a crying child in front of him. And I'm sorry, that's just... it's dumb. It's the big 4-letter word that starts with a D. Dumb. And I just don't like it. I get it. Once again, Midoriya is not meant to be realistic. He is a flat character whose only purpose is meant to be the perfect heroic paragon. But even still, heroism has its limits. Superman. Superman is a character who I think pretty much inarguably, over his many interpretations, his over a century's worth at this point, I do believe, in terms of comics and storytelling, even he has known when it's time for things to end. Even he is like, you know what, I do not want to do it, but you leave me no choice. Shigaraki is a no choice scenario, but it seems like Midoriya believes there is a choice, and I think that's the biggest risk anyone could ever take, because Shigaraki will literally destroy the entire world. Now, obviously, do I believe that none of my opinions matter and Midoriya's going to find a way to win and Shigaraki's going to be saved? Of course. Of course. Of course. That is just how it is. However, as a consumer of said product, I do not have to agree with all the choices the product makes. So, while I am still going to give this chapter a 9 out of 10, like shock horror, I know no one's even here to the end. If you made it all the way here, write Shiggy Solos in the comment section down below. So, all 2 of you, or like 0.5 of you, but still, I still give the chapter a 9 out of 10. Why? Because it's given me so many things that I still love about the series. It gives me more Lady Nagant, and Lady Nagant is peak perfect chef's kiss. Like, legitimately, Horikoshi, no idea. I know that pen was on fire when you put it to paper. Golly gee, I need Lady Nagant and Mirako soaked in... Regardless, we have them at the start of this chapter, and we see how Midoriya reached them. That's nice. We see Rocklock. That's nice. We see her firing off one last shot that really acts as the final trigger to really bring out and end All For One, a character who I don't think should have been our final villain. And while I don't like that it was essentially a waste of time and I spent all that time complaining about it, I'm happy that he's gone. I'm happy that he's literally torn apart from the inside out, and I hope he fails permanently. Great. I'm glad Shigaraki's back. I still love Shigaraki. All of that is amazing, and I really appreciate it. And of course, the art is gorgeous and top tier, and this final panel is literally one of the most hype things I've literally ever seen. All of that is true. Yet I still have like 15 different problems with it. But I'm not going to blame this chapter for that, because a lot of these problems are just lingering effects. They are beyond this chapter's control. So this chapter is still a 9 out of 10. However, that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month. Handling exclusive videos, early content, and more. You'll also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.